hello, and welcome to the podcast. Thank you very much for being here. I appreciate it. All right, you guys, let's get into it. I hear this a lot and it drives me crazy. And I don't know why. Maybe it's just a mindset thing, but people in the financial world, the gurus, are telling you that you have to have your money together. I heard this on a video this morning that one of the big financial gurus in the industry said if you can sleep together, then your accounts, your checking accounts and your savings account should be together. My question is, why? Why is that necessary? What does it matter? It's one pool of money. The reason they think that that is the reason that we need to have joint accounts. I feel that the reason people think they need to have a joint account is a marital issue. It is nothing to do with the account. It is somebody is either out of control or somebody wants to control the situation, right? I have never, ever had a joint account with my husband. Doesn't happen. And the reason that it does not happen is because, well, first of all, neither one of us are big spenders. He tends to spend more money than I do. I am just naturally frugal. And so I tend to not spend. However, when we had and always have had very different income earnings. And so when I was starting my business, things were tough and he made more money. And so therefore, I would pay the bills I could afford out of my account, and he would pay the bills he could afford out of his account. He had more bills to pay than I did. Okay. He made the house payment. Then when the income switched, my business took off and I started to make more money. Then I started making the house payment so that he didn't have to work nights and work this job that was awful. So he took a little bit of a pay change. Okay. Then I just took the house payment on and he paid some of the other bills. When we needed something outside of whatever the norm was, then I would just say, hey, you know what? I need something. I need to buy whatever. And he would pay for it. Or I would buy groceries and he paid to go out to eat. That is still the case today. I will buy the groceries and he pays to go out to eat because I don't like going out to eat. I think it's a complete waste of money. And he absolutely loves it. And he thinks it's the best thing ever. And I'm like, well, then it's coming out of your checkbook. Not that it matters. At the end of the day, it's one pool of money. And this is something that even we have had to really talk about at times, where if we make a bigger purchase, he feels like I shouldn't he feels like he should ask if it's okay, or I have to have the final decision on that because I make more money. And so it's a feeling thing. And I finally had to address it and say, if you want it, go buy it. Like if I don't agree with it, then obviously I'm going to give you my 2 cents. But for the most part, it's one pool of money. What does it matter? I mean, I buy things. Of course, we run big purchases by one another, and we don't even run it by to ask if it's okay. We run it through a conversation to say, do we really want to do this? Does that make sense? Not, is it okay if I go buy a new pickup? Or is it okay if I go buy a tractor? Or is it okay if I go, buy whatever it is? I don't care what the dollar amount is for you and your household. It should always be a conversation of what we want to do with our money. And so when these gurus talk about the fact that you need to separate your money, why? I know people that have money issues, and a lot of those money issues stem from the fact that if the husband gets something new, the wife also feels like she needs to have something new. And we have these people in our lives that the husband went and bought a pickup, and the wife was so mad because he got a new pickup and she didn't get a new vehicle. Within a year, she had a new vehicle as well. Why? You couldn't afford both, but you got both because you were jealous of what he had. That doesn't even make sense to me. These same people are the people that don't talk to you after you move away from them. Okay? So they're jealous of everybody, or this same person always wants people at their house, but they'll never come to your house because they don't feel adequate. That is a personal problem. That is not a who has account money where problem. I don't care where that money is. It's not going to solve the emotional problem. Okay? So when we should have our money together if we sleep together is complete BS to me. And so it's one pool of money. Are we emotionally handling our money? Are we responsibly handling our money? If we're not, it again does not matter where it's at. Some people will say, well, they work harder for their money. Well, okay, if my husband wanted a new gun, he was going to go buy a new gun. I wasn't going to stop him. He was just say, hey, you know what? I really want this new gun and it's on sale. And I had an opportunity to say, hey, we don't have the money for that, right? But he had money. He wasn't overspending. He still subtracts his account and all of his bills in his little ledger. I don't do that. I just look at the bank account online. I can kind of see what's happening. And because I don't spend a whole ton of money, I don't have to worry about it. My credit cards are never maxed. If you are in a situation where we have a spouse that has maxed credit cards and is buying stuff that is absolutely unnecessary and spending money that is absolutely unnecessary, we don't have a problem of where the money is in what account. We have a spending problem. I have just been dealing with this recently with somebody that my daughter knows, and this person is crying because they don't have enough money. Oh my gosh, some stuff went wrong with the house and we don't have enough money to pay for that. But yet, this same person has money to go buy crystal rocks for energy work or whatever they're doing. They have money for that. They have money to have food delivered to them. Instead of getting in their little car and going and getting their own food, they have it delivered. They have a house cleaner. Why do you have a house cleaner if you don't have any money? And they're buying unnecessary food that is going to waste. So I am not a huge fan of Dave Ramsey, as you all know. However, if you cannot manage money, you need the Dave Ramsey method of managing money. You need the budget. I am clearly, as you can hear the passion here, I am clearly not the person to be teaching you a budget. It is very simple. And in my head, there should be no reason we are spending over the budget, because if we if we are spending more than what we're bringing in, the question doesn't become what we can cut. The question becomes, what can I do to make more money? And I have a client who I had met with early on, and he was in a relationship. He was working about 50 hours a week, and his significant other was spending more than he made. Her solution was he should just work more. But the more he worked, the more she spent. She did not understand finances and money and budgeting. He could have worked 100 hours a week and she would have spent as if he was working 110. The solution for him was to end that relationship because it was constant fighting. So a lot of people are going to separate because they're constantly fighting about money. Okay, but is that even healthy to me? To me, that's not healthy. If you can't be on the same page financially, how are you ever going to be successful in life? And then when those people, if those people do stay together as a couple, when the one that was responsible passes away and they've saved all this money and they've done all these awesome things, the one that's not responsible isn't going to have anything left at the end of the day because they're going to spend it all. I don't need to have the new clothes. I don't need to have the new vehicle. I don't need to have the latest whatevers. It is not my thing. And it is an expensive thing to constantly be doing. So having a separate account doesn't matter. All it does is give somebody a license to go spend frivolously. And what are our goals together? Are the goals together that maybe we want a new home? Maybe we want a new vehicle. What do we have to do? And maybe cut back to get there. What do we have to do to make more money to get that thing? In today's economy, I get it. I understand that it is hard. I go to Walmart and I get mad every single week when I ring my stuff up. I am mad because it never used to be over $100. And now we're close to 150, 200 every single week. And so even I am irritated, but it is a matter of what else can we do to make more? If we're going to cut back, great, then cut back together. It's not one person over the other. You are one pool of money, my friends. I don't care. Then there's this movement of, oh, hey, we're going to each have our account and then we're going to put money into one together to pay the bills. Why does that matter? What did that do any differently than if you just pay the bills according to your income? If I make less money, then I just pay the bills I can afford. And if he makes more money, he pays the bills he can afford. Why does it have to get moved into a joint account to make us feel good? Because somebody told us that was a right way to do it? Do it however you want. What's right is right for you. I can sit here and say, hey, you have an emotional problem with a spending person. And you can say, no, I don't. I love that person. I can put up with their spending issue. Okay, fine, fantastic. Whatever you decide is what's okay for you. That would not work for me. But for me to sit here and say, oh, you have to have separate accounts because that's the only way to do it because you sleep together. No, that's pretty narrow-sighted. It is the incorrect way of thinking about money. And then people feel defensive because everybody's questioning them on what they purchased. Now, if you constantly don't have any money, I might say, well, what do you buy in? Because I'm not seeing it. Right? And I've sat down before and said, I don't like eating out, and this is why. And I've ran the numbers and said, this is how much we spend on eating out. This is absolutely crazy. Right? And so because my husband doesn't look at a budget, he knows what's in his head and he will if he wants to go eat out, then he's fine with having to not have whatever, because he could live in a cardboard box. So it doesn't matter to him. I am always the one that's driving to get bigger and better and whatever. So don't take everything that you hear, even from me, question it. What are they telling me? And why is that logic of thinking seem so off? Because it is. In my opinion, it just does not make sense to have all these accounts and everybody fighting over money. Even when I didn't have anything and my husband made more and I'm starting a business and I have nothing, I'm in the red. I didn't say, hey, you can't have that. He worked for that money. If I wanted something, I feel like I should have gone out and earned it. Now, keep in mind, I was not a stay-at-home mom. That is a whole different ballgame. If you're a stay-at-home mom, you guys better figure out how to communicate. But I was not a stay-at-home mom. I have always been driven to say, what should I do so I can afford those things that I want? I have never, ever, ever said I am going to wait for him to provide those things for me. He at one point had to tell me, well, if you need something, let me know. I'm like, I don't need to ask you for anything. I will figure out how to get it on my own. Now, not everybody is nearly as stubborn as I am. And so, if you are in a relationship where you are a stay at home mom and you don't have the income coming in, then you're going to want probably the joint account because you shouldn't necessarily be put on a salary, right? Or a budget, or what's the word I'm looking for? An allowance. Okay. You shouldn't necessarily get an allowance. It's a household thing. And there's a lot of people that you have to do that as a household. Great. Fantastic. That's a whole different scenario. But what I'm talking about here is two people that are working and then they think that they have to put their money together because that's what the talking gurus are saying. No, my money's never been together with my husband's. And I think it's silly because it's one pool of money. Figure out how to communicate and move forward from there. But if somebody is a spender, then there needs to be a conversation around that. If somebody is a squeaky, tight, frugal individual, there needs to be a conversation around that as well. And I am the frugal person. Remember, my kids used to call me Mr. Krabs because if there is a penny on the ground, I'm picking it up. And so I was frugal and we had to have that conversation. Like, hey, it's okay to maybe buy some, TP that's a little bit better quality. It's still not okay to throw away Ziploc bags. They need to be washed because they're expensive. But it is definitely something that there needs to be some negotiation on both sides. And if you can't negotiate, then there is the bigger problem with the money, is the personalities behind it. All right. That's my podcast, AKA rant for the day. Let me know if you guys need anything. I am happy to answer any questions. If you have comments about this, throw them my way. I am happy to take them. I got big shoulders. Let me know, MaryJo at withoutthebank.com. Otherwise, grab the books, schedule your appointment, and let's have a visit.